Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. A quick introduction about me. My name is Swapna Narayandas. I lead a dynamic development team focused on .NET based content management systems, building scalable and user friendly digital experiences. With over a decade of experience in architecting the solutions and technical leadership, I have worked extensively with platforms like Kentico to deliver customized solutions for businesses across various industries. In today's webinar, I'm thrilled to share my insights on the right upgrade path to experience by Kentico. Let's get started. Before we begin, let me quickly frame today's session. This is not about a product demo or a technical deep dive. It's a guided executive conversation about a real deadline and the choices leaders have ahead of it. We'll start with the countdown. On December 31st, 2026, support for Kentico Experience 13 ends. That date is fixed and it defines the planning window we are all working within. From there, we'll look at why this matters, the security, compliance, and operational risks that increases when platforms run without vendor support. Next, we will explain the technology shift behind the deadline, why this change is happening now, and how modern software life cycles are driving it. Then we will introduce Experience by Kentico, the next generation digital experience platform, and the shift the conversation from risk to opportunity. Then we will talk about strategy, why many organizations are treating this as an opportunity to modernize, not just a forced upgrade, and what migration really involves. A smart, phased re-platform, not a risky big bang move. We will also share why businesses are moving now. And finally, we'll close with clear next steps to protect the business and unlock what comes next. As we go through this, I would invite you to keep one question in mind. Where do we want our digital platform to be by 2026? Let's get started. Let me start with a quick scenario. It's January 1st, 2027. Your website is still live, customers are still engaging, campaigns are still running. On the surface, everything looks normal. But something important changed the day before. On December 31st, 2026, Kentico Experience 13 support officially ends. The date is not symbolic, it's definitive. From that point on, the platform is no longer supported. After this date, there are no more updates, no security patches, no bug fixes, no official technical support from Kentico. If a vulnerability is discovered or an issue arises, there is no vendor safety net. And this leads to be the most critical point. Your site doesn't stop working, but operational risk starts to rise quietly. Security teams begin logging tasks, exceptions, complaints, conversations become more uncomfortable. IT spends more time maintaining and defending the platform instead of moving the business forward. Cost will increase, not all at once, but steadily. So the real question is not about like will our site still run after 2026? but it is about like how much risk and distraction are we willing to accept once support is gone. That's why this date matters, and that's why acting early preserves control. Let's build on the timelines we just discussed. After 2026, the risk doesn't show up all at once, it shows up in layers. It usually starts with security. Once Kentico Experience 13 is unsupported, any new vulnerability becomes your responsibility. No patches, no vendor fixes. Security teams don't panic, but they do start logging exceptions and increasing monitoring. This isn't that's the first quiet signal that risk is moving closer to the business. Then the conversation shifts to compliance. For regulated industries like healthcare, finance, e commerce, government, unsupported platforms raise uncomfortable questions. Auditors don't always say no, but they do ask, why are you still running software without vendor support? And suddenly, every audit takes longer. Every review requires more explanation. Compliance becomes harder to defend even without an incident. At the same time, technical debt continues to grow. Custom fixes pile up, simple changes take longer, fewer people truly understand the platform. Innovation slows, not because teams lack ideas, but because the platform depends more effort just to stand still. And finally, integration challenges begin to surface. Browsers update, APIs evolve, third party tools change. What used to work smoothly now requires workarounds. Each one small, but together they create friction across IT and marketing. Here is the important takeaway: none of these risks force an immediate failure, but together they quietly shift your organization from moving forward to holding on. So the real question is not about like can we stay on Kentico Experience 13 after 2026. It's all about what does it cost us in terms of risk, effort, and missed opportunity. Every month we choose to stay. That's why this matters. And it's why timing and preparation makes such a difference. At this point, a fair question usually comes up. Why is this deadline happening at all? Why can't support just continue a little longer? The answer is not about the policy, it's about technical reality. Uh, Kentico Experience 13 admin solution was built on top of Microsoft .NET 4.8 standard framework, which was obsolete, and it supports .NET 6. And in November 2024, Microsoft officially ended support for that framework. So from that moment on, the foundation beneath Kentico Experience 13 stopped receiving security updates. Now, here is the important context. Microsoft releases cycles are accelerated, frameworks evolve faster, and older versions lose security coverage sooner than they used to. That creates a domino effect where like when the foundation reaches end of life, everything built on top of it inherits the risk. This puts Kentigo in a different difficult position. They can't responsibly offer long term support for software built on an unsupported foundation, at least not without compromising security and trust. And for an enterprise platform, that's not a trade off anyone should accept. So, this deadline is not arbitrary, it's the natural result of modern software life cycles. And this is what leads to the final point. Rather than stretching an aging platform, Kentico made a strategic decision to evolve forward, to build a modern, future proof platform on current technology with ongoing support built in. So, when we talk about 2026, it's not about something ending, it's all about the industry and the platform moving forward. Up to now, we have talked about why staying where you are becomes riskier over time. That is where the conversation changes. Rather than extending an ongoing platform, Kentico made a deliberate decision to start fresh, to design a platform built for how digital experiences actually work today. Experience by Kentico is not an upgrade. It's a ground up rebuild on modern supported .NET technology designed to be cloud native from day one. What does that mean in practical terms? It means better performance and reliability, but more importantly, it means a foundation that stays aligned with Microsoft's lifecycle instead of constantly chasing it. The second shift is how content is delivered. With a hybrid headless CMS, content is no longer logged to a single website. It can flow across web, mobile, campaigns, and future channels without rebuilding everything each time. For marketing teams, uh, this means speed and reuse. For IT teams, it means control and governance. Then there is how the platform evolves. Instead of disruptive upgrades every few years, Experience by Kentico follows an evergreen model which continues monthly updates, that reduces risk, removes upgrade pressure, and keeps the platform current without prior migration cycles, major migration cycles. Security is built in. Uh, the platform's enterprise security architecture is fully aligned with Microsoft's lifecycle, which supports ongoing compliance and long term protection. And finally, deployment. With flexible SaaS options, organizations can scale more easily while reducing infrastructure and operational overhead. So, when we talk about moving to Experience by Kentico, this is not just about replacing something that's ending. It's about choosing a platform designed to evolve. So, you are not having the same conversation again in a few years. Let's reframe the word migration for a moment. Most leaders hear it and think time consuming, expensive, and risky. But the organizations that get the most value from this transition see it very differently. They treat migration as a strategic movement and not a technical core. It starts with planning proactively. When teams plan early, uh, they avoid the last minute rush. Budgets are predictable, timelines are realistic, and decisions are made thoughtfully, not under pressure from a deadline. The second shift is how organizations think about return on investment. Rather than moving everything as is, many leaders combine migrations with AUX refresh, brand updates, future enhancements. That way, the business sees visible improvement, not just continuity. Now, a common concern is effort. There is that is when the tools matters. Kentico Migration Toolkit and AI assisted tools significantly reduce manual content transfer. That shortens timelines and lower risk. Something that simply was not possible for a few years ago. And finally, the smart approach. Successful migrations follow a simple philosophy. First, replicate what works today so the business stays stable. Then, once the platform is live and trusted, evolve and innovate using the new capabilities. Here is the key takeaway: migration doesn't have to be disruptive, handled correctly. It becomes a controlled upgrade to your digital future. The organizations that plan early don't just move platforms, they move forward with confidence. When leaders hear the word migration, the first question is usually, how disruptive is this going to be? The most important thing to understand is this: moving from Kentico Experience 13 to Experience by Kentico is not a simple upgrade. It's a smart re-platform, and that decision matters. Every successful migration starts with an assessment. Before anything moves, teams take time to understand the current environment, content, integrations, customizations, and risk areas involved. This step removes surprises later and gives leadership clarity before commitments are made. Next comes planning and strategy. Uh, this is where timelines, milestones, and priorities are set. It's not guesswork. There are proven methodologies and experienced partners who have done this many times before. The goal here is predictability, not speed. Then comes implementation, content, functionality, and integrations are migrated in a structured, controlled way. This is not a big bang cutover. The business stays operational while the new platform is built and validated. And finally, benefits are realized. Organizations see faster performance, stronger security, and access to uh, modern marketing and personalization tools. At this point, teams are not just maintaining the platform, they are finally able to move forward again. Here is the key takeaway: a smart re platform, don't rush. It reduces a risk by design and delivers value in stages. The organization that approach migration this way don't experience disruption, they experience progress. Next, take a look at why more organizations are choosing to move now and what early action delivers. At this stage, many leaders ask a practical question: are organizations actually acting on this, or is everyone waiting? What we are seeing in the market is very clear. As the 2026 deadline approaches, urgency is growing. Thousands of sites are still running on Kentico Experience 13, and with each passing quarter, the risk and operational pressure increases. But the most interesting insight is not urgency; it is who is moving first. Early adopters are not just upgrading to stay compliant, they are gaining a competitive advantage. Development teams are working more efficiently, marketing teams are launching faster, more personalized experiences, and customers are seeing noticeably better digital interactions. They are also a financial reality driving these distinct decisions. Organizations that move early are avoiding emergency migrations, compliance penalties, premium pricing that comes with last minute implementations. In other words, they are choosing cost avoidance through planning rather than cost control through crisis. And finally, there is the long term view. Leaders are not just solving a 2026 problem, they are future proofing their digital presence for the next decade on a platform designed to evolve continuously, not age quickly. Here is the key takeaway: the organizations moving now are not reacting, they are positioning themselves ahead of the curve. And in digital experience, timing often becomes the difference between keeping up and leading. Next, let's talk about what your organization can do now to take control of the timeline and the outcome. At this point, the question usually shifts from what should we do to where do we start. The good news is there is a clear low risk path forward. The first step is comprehensive audit. This is not about making a decision, it's about understanding your current Kentico environment, what is customized, what is integrated, and where potential risks exist. Clarity here removes uncertainty later. The second step is to engage migration experts. Organizations that succeed don't go it alone. They work with experienced teams to build a roadmap that fits their business goals, timelines, and budgets. Not a one size fits all plan. That's the third step is to begin migration early. Starting early is not about moving faster, it's about moving smarter. It allows time for proper testing, avoids deadline pressure, and let teams start benefiting from the new platform sooner. And finally, the outcome leaders care about most is like maintaining a competitive edge. Modern digital experiences demand speed, security, and scalability. This transition ensures your platform supports growth instead of holding it back. The key takeaway is you don't need to decide everything today, but taking the first step now gives you options, control, and confidence. And with that, let's close with one final thought about readiness and leadership. Let's bring everything together. Throughout this conversation, one theme has been consistent. The deadline is real, but the decision is still in your control. The clock is ticking. Can you experience 13 support ends on December 31st, 2026? That date is not meant to create urgency. It simply defines the window leaders have to plan thoughtfully instead of reacting later. The second point is about direction. Upgrading to Experience by Kentico is not just about avoiding risk. It's about positioning your digital platform for security, continuous integration, and scalable growth. So it supports your business ambitions instead of constraining them. And finally, this comes down to leadership. The organizations that succeed don't rush. They plan strategically, migrate intelligently, and lead their digital future with confidence. Here, like the key message I want to leave you with, you don't need to make a final decision today, but choosing to start by assessing, planning, and exploring your options puts you in control of the outcome. That's how you protect the business, and that's how you unlock what comes next. Yeah, if you have any questions, please post. So please post your questions as comments. So we'll be answering them as soon as possible. Thank you.